An odd thing about Revit is that when you're creating a Revit family, if you place dimensions directly onto the mass objects, sometimes that mass object will adjust when the dimension adjusts, and other times it won't adjust. It'll just sit there and not allow itself to adjust to a different size. So the key to make sure that your Revit family is adjustable in size is to always attach your solid mass objects to what's called reference planes. These are the steps to creating reference planes inside of your Revit family. First, let's come up here to the Create tab, then over toward the right-hand side, there's an option here called Reference Plane. Click on Reference Plane. Now, what I want to do is create some reference planes that will adjust the size of a square. Because we'll be adjusting the size of a square, our reference planes are going to need to be in sort of a square shape. So let's begin by clicking over here, then coming across. Next, I want to draw another reference plane, one from about here down to about here. We'll draw yet another reference plane from here across, and still another reference plane from here down. I'll hit the escape key a couple times to get out of this command, but what you'll notice is that between each of these reference planes that I've drawn, we now have a big square area. Ultimately, we'll be drawing in a mass object that'll be tied to each one of these reference planes, so that as the reference plane moves from one spot to another spot, that mass object will move as the reference plane moves. We also need to do that inside of a elevation view. So underneath elevations in the project browser, go to front. We already have sort of the base and a couple of the sides. So let's draw another reference plane that goes across the top. Come here to Create, Reference Plane, click, then click again. Then you can hit the Escape key on the keyboard to get out of the command. Now, something else that you can do with reference planes is to name them so that it makes a little bit more sense when you're trying to identify what that reference plane is actually locked to. Which part of the surface of that mass object that you'll be attaching to the reference planes, what part of that mass object is it that's attached to the reference plane? So when you select on the reference plane, there'll be an option here that says Click to Name. Also, that's the same information that shows up underneath Name here with Properties. If I click where it has Click to Name, I'm just going to name this reference plane Top, meaning it will be the top of that square object that we're getting ready to create. Now let's go back to a floor plan view. Double click on the ref level. I'll select where we have this box right here. Now it's debatable what I should actually name this side, but I'll call it North because right now it looks like it's the north side. Down here, I'll name it South. This side will be West. And this side will be East. Now we could have named them left, right, up, down, anything that makes sense to us. And that's the general process on how you go about creating reference planes. You simply select on the reference plane command, draw the line across, select on the reference plane, and give it a name. And you place reference planes everywhere where you may want a mass shape to be able to adjust in size.